Welcome back. We have talked about so many businesses, so many folks having to pivot their business. Well, that, of course, includes law firms. And our dear friend, Catherine Stone from Florida Injury Florida Law is back with us. Catherine, it's been so long that I switched around the words. It's been too long. How are you, Catherine?
Good. How are you? It has been a
I'm good. It
Things
has been a while, but of
things
course,
have been crazy.
exactly. People are having to change their things up. They're having to change the way their business looks. And the court system, and therefore you, are falling into that same boat, I'm assuming.
Yes, I mean, right now, our office is open by appointment only, and we're predominantly doing everything by Zoom with our clients, electronic signatures for contracts. And the main thing is the court appearances and the mediations. Right now, the state of Florida has mandated a continuation of court-ordered state mediations for workers' comp to continue to be telephonic. Although safety-wise, it's a very good idea, it does present a lot of challenges with regards to claims. I mean, I like sitting down with the clients. I like going over why we're there, what the claims are, what potential settlement may be. And so it takes a lot longer now when you're trying to do a mediation by phone. The other thing that we're running across is depositions. Depositions are all by Zoom now, most of them. And we run into the problem where not a lot of clients have the technological capability to appear by Zoom. And so it's a day-to-day struggle that we're all having in the industry. But people are still filing claims. People are still getting hurt on the job. And, the system is still working. It's still open for business. It's just the practice in and of itself has changed quite a bit.
I'm sure you have been able to talk with some clients who maybe were hesitant during this time to file the workers' comp. I know even pick up the phone, regardless of what time we're dealing with, sometimes takes an extra motivation, and they want to know it's going to be a friendly voice on the other end.
Right.
And so that's what you're able to do.
We really try to spend as much time, because we're not face to face with them, explaining the process. And I just had a phone call yesterday with a potential new client who he had already sustained an accident on the job. He had already received workers' compensation treatment and workers' compensation checks. Was out of work, but was concerned about hiring an attorney because he didn't want to lose his job in the time of COVID. Because he wasn't sure what kind of job he could get later on down the road. So that's a big concern. That's like the number 2 question that we're getting from everybody that still remains employed with their employer but has a workers' compensation claim. And I'm just here to remind everyone that although Florida is an at-will employment state, your employer cannot terminate you for pursuing a workers' compensation claim or filing a workers' compensation claim. That is a violation of Chapter 44205, and it's called retaliatory discharge. And so I'm not seeing a lot of that, but it's definitely out there. And sometimes it's because, if the employers can prove it's because of COVID, or they can prove because they've had a downturn in economics, then they may be justified in it. But a lot of times you look at the timing of things when the termination happens.
You talked about, of course, the differences and people happen to call you instead of maybe going into your office. What do you want people to know out there if they're kind of thinking, yes, I was dealing with this. This is the time to call now. You're still making it easy, though. I don't think we can stress that enough.
We offer Zoom. We offer other platforms for, face-to-face, although it's telephonic or, video conferencing.
Mm-hmm.
We also offer texting, email, whatever way is easiest for the client to get those answers to their questions. That's what we're trying to do.
We were talking about how workers' compensation is still happening. People are still getting injured on the job. But what about COVID? Catherine, I've gone to you before about changes in the law, and with this change in landscape, is this something we're starting to see with workers' compensation?
Oh, yeah.
Do you get diagnosed with COVID?
We are getting a lot of calls with individuals who have been diagnosed with COVID. They believe that they contracted it at their employer or while working with a coworker. And it's not a clear-cut rule right now in the state of Florida, because you still have to go under the occupational disease statute, which is a very, very high, clear, convincing burden, unless you are a state of Florida employee, you're a first responder, or you work in the medical field. They have a whole list of categories. Only if you are a state of Florida employee will you get a presumption that your COVID diagnosis was due to work. If you're not an employee of the state and you're a first responder or work in the medical field or any other field, it's not an automatic presumption, and we still have to abide by the law as it stands right now.
Wow. Well, again, I go to you with all of our question. I know you are always up to date on everything that is happening, especially when it comes to workers' compensation. Catherine, you're still easy to get in touch with. There's the information. It was great seeing you today.
Great seeing you too. Thanks.
Take care, okay? And of course, there's the information for Injury Florida Law.